A man reaches out, his hand trembling as it nears a golden relic. In the next instant, he collapses, struck down by an unseen force. Elsewhere, the impenetrable walls of a city crumble to dust, not from siege engines, but from the presence of this same object. These aren't just scenes from a blockbuster movie. They're accounts from ancient texts describing the awesome and frankly terrifying power of the Ark of the Covenant. For millennia, this sacred chest has been seen as a profound religious symbol, the container for the Ten Commandments. But if you read the historical narratives, they describe something far more dangerous. They paint a picture of an object that acted less like a holy relic and more like a divine weapon, capable of leveling cities, unleashing plagues, and executing judgment in a flash. This brings us to a chilling question. What exactly was this power? An act of God, a lost ancient technology, or something else entirely? And maybe more importantly, what would happen if this thing were found today? To understand the danger, you have to start with the blueprint. The instructions for the Ark's construction, detailed in the Book of Exodus, are incredibly specific. It was to be a chest of acacia wood, about 4 feet long and 2.5 feet wide and high. But this wasn't just a box. It was to be overlaid, inside and out, with pure gold. Now, that detail is a huge clue for some theorists. The acacia wood would act as a perfect insulator, separating 2 layers of conductive gold. Think of it like the plastic coating on a modern electrical wire. The gold is the live current, and the wood is the safety shield that keeps it contained. On top sat the mercy seat, a slab of solid gold, with 2 golden cherubim facing each other, their wings outstretched. This wasn't just decoration, it was a design that some interpret as a device built to divine specifications. Its purpose was to serve as a tangible point of contact between the mortal and the divine, like a cosmic telephone line to God on earth. The ancient texts are clear. This was not an object to be treated lightly. Only a high priest only once a year could enter its presence. According to the stories, for anyone else to even look upon it unveiled or to touch it was a death sentence. This wasn't just about reverence, it reads like a dire warning about the raw power it was said to contain. The early history of the Israelites, as told in the Bible, is inseparable from the power attributed to the Ark. It wasn't merely carried, it led them. When the Israelites crossed the Jordan River, the waters are said to have parted the moment the priests carrying the ark stepped into the river. Its most famous alleged use as a weapon came at the city of Jericho. For 6 days, it was carried around the city. On the 7th, at the blast of trumpets, the story goes that the formidable walls collapsed. While some archaeologists point to evidence of collapsed walls and destruction by fire, the timing of this event and its cause are subjects of intense debate, and there is no direct archaeological proof of this specific biblical narrative. The power described was tangible and lethal. When the Philistines captured the ark in battle, a story told in 1 Samuel, they quickly learned their prize was more of a curse. The narrative claims it unleashed plagues upon their cities, toppling their idols and afflicting the people with tumors until, in terror, they sent it back. It's important to note there are no non-biblical sources that corroborate this event. The story of Uzzah is perhaps the most direct warning. As the ark was being moved, the oxen pulling the cart stumbled. Uzzah reached out to steady it, a seemingly innocent act. He was immediately struck dead. In these accounts, the ark behaves less like a holy object and more like a loaded weapon with the safety off. Uzzah's desire to help was irrelevant. He touched a live wire and paid the ultimate price. For centuries, the Ark resided in the Holy of Holies in Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem, the very heart of Israel's religious life, and then it was gone. The last clear biblical mention of the Ark being in the temple is during the reign of King Josiah around 622 BCE, who ordered it returned to its place. Just a few decades later, in 586 BCE, the Babylonian Empire under King Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem. They sacked the city, destroyed the temple, and carried off its treasures. An inventory of the plundered items was made. The golden menorah, the trumpets, the sacred vessels are all listed. But there's one glaring omission: the Ark of the Covenant. It is simply not there. The most powerful and sacred object in all of Judaism vanishes from the historical record at the very moment of Jerusalem's greatest catastrophe, sparking one of history's greatest and most enduring mysteries. Where did it go? The Ark's disappearance created a vacuum that's been filled with centuries of theories and quests. None of these have been substantiated with physical evidence as of July 2025, but they are compelling. One prominent theory suggests the Ark never left Jerusalem. Foreseeing the Babylonian invasion, priests may have hidden it in a secret chamber deep beneath the Temple Mount. Some ancient texts, like the non-canonical Treatise of the Vessels, allude to prophets and kings like Hezekiah or Jeremiah hiding temple treasures. Another tradition, found in the second book of Maccabees, claims the prophet Jeremiah took the ark and hid it in a cave on Mount Nebo, in modern-day Jordan, declaring the location should remain unknown until God gathers his people again. Perhaps the most famous claim comes from Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church asserts the ark was brought to their country long before the Babylonian invasion by Menelik I, the son of King Solomon, and the Queen of Sheba. They claim it resides to this day in a chapel in the city of Aksum, guarded by a single monk who devotes his life to protecting it, and is the only person allowed to see it. Of course, there is also the most straightforward theory: the ark was simply destroyed. It may have been captured and melted down by the Babylonians for its gold, its religious significance lost on them. Or it might have been obliterated when the temple was burned to the ground. In the chaos of war, even the greatest treasures can be lost in an instant. These theories have fueled treasure hunters for centuries, but they all assume finding the ark would be a triumph. The biblical evidence, however, suggests its rediscovery could be a cataclysm. This has led some to look at the ark through a modern lens, leading to some pretty wild and terrifying possibilities. It's crucial to state that these are fringe theories with no credible scientific backing. Consider its design: 2 layers of a conductive metal, gold, separated by an insulator, wood. To some, that sounds an awful lot like a large capacitor. A capacitor is like a battery, but instead of releasing its power slowly, it can discharge it all in one devastating instant. Think of a lightning strike contained in a box. Could the desert's static electricity have charged it? Could Uzzah's fatal touch have been the result of the ark releasing its entire stored energy, like a massive divine defibrillator? Other theories are even more alarming, speculating the ark contained radioactive material. Imagine an unshielded nuclear core from a power plant. The descriptions of plagues, tumors, and hair loss that afflicted those who mishandled the ark are eerily consistent with acute radiation sickness, an invisible, silent killer. This is pure speculation, with no archaeological or scientific findings to support it. Whether its power was purely spiritual or something else, imagine unleashing such an object on the 21st century. In a world of geopolitical tension and terrorism, the discovery of an artifact believed to have city-leveling power would ignite a global firestorm. It wouldn't be placed in a museum. It would be like finding a single button that could grant one nation absolute power, and every country on Earth would scramble to control it. The Ark of the Covenant isn't just a lost treasure. The stories suggest it's a Pandora's box that was thankfully closed and lost to time. The mystery of the Ark of the Covenant forces us to confront the thin line between faith, technology, and power. If you find these ancient mysteries as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. We want to hear from you in the comments. Which theory about the Ark's location do you find most convincing, and do you think it should ever be found? For over 2.5 millennia, the Ark of the Covenant has remained hidden, a silent testament to a power we no longer understand. We're fascinated by the quest to find it, inspired by the legends of its divine might. We see it as the ultimate prize. But maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the Ark isn't lost. Maybe it's exactly where it needs to be, beyond our grasp. Its disappearance might not have been a historical accident, but a necessary act, not to protect the Ark from the world, but to protect the world from the Ark. The real question isn't where the Ark is. It's whether we could survive finding it.